Well, hi everyone. It is I, Whimsy, and I thought I would just come on and talk a little bit about the fact that it looks like Rudy Giuliani is not going to be charged by the feds. People are very upset about it. Oh my, oh my, oh my. But I wouldn't worry about it because here's what I think is happening. Rudy Giuliani is cooperating with the feds. He has handed everything over. So what are the feds looking for? They're looking to find out how foreign governments were able to influence political campaigns. And they are specifically looking at how the money streams got to the people involved, whether it was through shell companies or shady real estate deals. They're also looking at blackmail schemes. We've talked about that in the past, where Rudy Giuliani and Trump and his cronies were gathering information on opponents and using it against them in order to control them. So all of that information has now been handed over to the feds. So the feds, in exchange for cooperation, have chosen not to charge Rudy Giuliani for all of the horrible crimes that they can charge him with. But before you get too upset, I want you to know that this is not the end of Rudy Giuliani, because what the feds are going to do is to remind Rudy Giuliani that he has not paid his taxes. So basically, all of that wheeling and dealing and all of that hidden money and all of those schemes and all of his friends that were making money that way, goodbye South Florida, all of those people are going to be turned over to the IRS. And we're already seeing some of those mega yachts getting drug off by the feds. And of course, not only are those mega yachts drug off by the feds, but the federal government is also going to be scouring any electronic equipment to find out who was meeting and any additional information on computers about how money was wired or transferred. Doesn't that sound like fun? So I thought it would be great if we did the MPAS prayer and we did just a brief check on the future of Rudy Giuliani. I thought you'd all enjoy that. So let's do it, shall we? Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say, Amen. Let's look at the future of Rudy Giuliani. It's kind of interesting. The feds say, well, you're off. Thank you for giving us all that evidence and all that information and completely cooperating. Oh, and as they leave, they tell him, and you forgot to pay your taxes. So we called the IRS. So then you wind up in prison for tax evasion. Still wind up in prison. And thank you for all that free information. All right, where Giuliani is right. His dealings have gotten him in trouble. We can see the devil, so he is chained to people that put him in this situation. He was in relationships he couldn't get out of. We can also see watching the coin, frugality, hiding the coin, or in this case, holding the coin tight. It's also frugality. It's somebody who's thin in money, right? It can also be a self-examination card, but we call it the frugality card. What's interesting here is that Rudy Giuliani is seen as somebody that's engaged in activities which are, the devil is there. So it's a relationship of codependence, and it can even be a relationship of addiction. He is getting out of his situation. You can see the Six of Swords is going there. He has issues with possibly alcohol addiction. This has come up in the past. You can see here sobriety is right over him, along with the devil. So basically what Rudy Giuliani is saying to us is that he may have a drug or alcohol problem, and that his drug and alcoholism or gambling, if he was also involved in gambling, got the better of him. And so what we're seeing in this profile of Rudy Giuliani is someone who may have struggled with alcoholism, sex addiction, and possibly gambling. And those behaviors, which were part of perhaps his mental illness or part of his addictive personality, drove him into relationships that he couldn't get out of. Either he borrowed money from the mob. It's very possible that this individual was gambling, drugs, prostitution, etc., and that is how he wound up in this financial situation. And we can see, again, because the base is an addiction issue, and that he was strapped for cash, and we can see he's headed towards smoother waters, but again, temperance comes in, which was an issue of sobriety. This is, again, a profile of someone who struggles with addiction, has hit rock bottom, and because of those addictions was forced into relationships that that caused him to be compromised. He is sitting in an inverted Three of Swords, which is a bad sign. That could indicate a suicidal tendency or somebody who is in a very bad place emotionally. This is somebody who's coming out of this was somebody who was a smart cookie. You know, he comes out of an Eight of Pentacles, which is a mastery card. So again, this is a profile of somebody who may have been brilliant at their job, but then suffers a slow, steady decline because of addiction, drug addiction, sex addiction, alcoholism, and is currently struggling with sobriety. He gets his wish getting out of this situation. His fourth house, or what he's coming into, is that he gets his wish. He's not going to be prosecuted for any serious crimes. However, the feds are not done with him, and he could be seeing more raids or more prosecutions in the future. We can see the Knight of Swords coming to his future. It had to do with his business dealings. Again, he presents as the businessman, and the others he's having conflict with are in a position of power, which of course would be the feds, the federal government, which he is cooperating with. His hope and his fear, the emperor or people in positions of power, authority, and then the final outcome for him is more research right over him. The Hermit card can be a continuation of an investigation, and we can see evidence here also as a clarification. Yeah, so he has federal officers, an opportunity to negotiate evidence. There was conflict by the feds trying to decide what to do with Rudy Giuliani. They chose not to prosecute him because of the amount of information he gave, and he will have to work out some kind of a deal with the IRS because he owes a ton of money. He could face charges that land him in jail, but it's also likely that he'll be able to pay his debts. There'll be some kind of arrangement that he can pay his debts with the Knight of Cups. Basically, if I were going to give a profile, though, based on the cards and based on the HCRV, I would say that this was a person who suffered a slow, steady decline due to addiction. I'm also going to suspect with this card chart that this person may have been gambling in addiction to sex, alcohol, and drug addiction, and that began a slow, steady decline into the criminal world and debts that he simply couldn't pay back. Then he goes and cooperates with a federal investigation, is able to avoid more serious charges, but unfortunately now he has to face the IRS, and he may be able to work out a deal with the IRS, but it's not looking good for him with a frugality card as the base of the matter. So that's basically what I think happened to Rudy Giuliani. I'm concerned about his mental health with an inverted 3 of Swords in his 3rd house, which would indicate feelings of extreme depression and possibly even a suicidal tendency. I think it will end for him badly, in the sense that he will publicly be shamed and humiliated as the IRS goes after confiscating his assets. There have been some questions about who could be cooperating with the feds in the investigation against Donald Trump. As I've said in the past, in previous remote views, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump have the FBI right over them, and they've been cooperating with the federal investigation via Kushner's attorney for quite some time. And there's a number of reasons why we know that. One of the reasons we know that is because we were able to access information on Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner regarding signatures that were found on documents that were, it was Ivanka's signature on certain documents, and that would be linked back to fraud, etc. So Ivanka and Jared were basically between a rock and a hard place, and are the main informants, I feel, in the investigation into Trump Organization and some of the corruption that the feds have been able to find out about. I think I'm going to do one quick throw on Jared Kushner because I think that he is the main informant. I'll just do 4 cards. Yeah, he cooperated. You can see this aggressive, angry energy where he's at. It could be a raid or an aggressive energy on top of him. 2 of Wands with his opposition, which would be the feds, which is his partnership. Here is the evidence, and things are going to be coming out very, very quickly with Kushner. The final outcome clarified. He's defending his position, and he's also, again, having to defend whatever he told the feds. The feds will be able to wrap up this investigation over the next 4 to 6 months. A lot of stuff is going to be coming out. You can see the partnerships, how the feds worked, and also the 6 of Wands, which is the laurel wreath. 6 Wands is how I read 6 of months. He's concerned that they will take control over his business, or that he may be losing part of his assets as a result of his cooperation. And then the final outcome for Jared Kushner and Ivanka. They will try to put this behind them. They will pay whatever debts they have to pay, and they're going to start the slow, steady wind to try and welcome themselves back into regular society. But they're going to have to do it by completely renouncing Donald Trump, which they will do. We're going to see a new coming out of Jared and Ivanka by April of 2023, but I still see potential charges going forward. Around April, we could be seeing a more public Ivanka and Jared as they try to explain their way out of whatever decisions they made. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for checking this quick video. If you're trying to get in for a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com or check the video information below. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.